So, as we've got quite a few new faces on my channel recently, I thought I would give you all an updated bullet journal tour so you can see exactly how my bullet journal is looking as we are now getting close to the end of the year. So I thought it was the perfect time to give you a little bullet journal flip through, and let's just get into it. So we've got my cover page here. If you've seen any previous flip throughs, you will know this one. I love the bold black colours with the little white highlights, and I think it's a perfect eye-catching start to a journal. Then we've got my future log inspired by Amanda Rach Lee, and we've got the little Dutch door, which means you can see the top on all of the pages. And I just use this for any main events like birthdays or holidays or special dates like Mother's Day or Christmas, that sort of thing. Then we move on to the year in pixel spread, which I'm loving how busy it's looking as it all comes together. I am a little bit regretting using my Crayola Super Tips to colour this one in because they are quite thick on the top of the pen. So I've not been colouring my absolute neatest on here, but you get the gist, and I think it looks cute with all the colours and the little squares. Then we've got my bookshelf, which I've actually coloured in one more book since you last saw this, so my aim of reading lots of books this year has kind of gone out of the window. However, recently I have been more on it. I've been having little reading trackers on my weekly spreads to keep me thinking about the fact that I do want to read and trying to reach a goal that I'd set for myself. So I am now onto a book called The Ink Black Heart, and it is huge. It's over 1,000 pages, so I'm sure I won't be ticking that off for quite some time, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless. Then we've got my goals spread, and quite a few of these are being ticked off in some way. A lot of my financial and work-based goals are going really well. The personal ones are always a bit more difficult because they're something you probably have to be working on every day, if not multiple times a day. So this is always a good reminder, and it's nice to see what I was thinking about at the start of this year, and then maybe comparing that to how it might change at the start of next year. Then we've got my vision board. I love this one, and I'm definitely going to be including this in my next journal because I absolutely love it. It's just so aesthetic, and I'm pleased I included some little quotes and just made it very much my own. So I'm looking forward to creating another one of these for 2023. And then we are on to my monthly spreads. So January was my constellations theme with the blue and purple, which are my favourite colours if you don't know. And I just love how this one looks. I had my mood tracker, sleep tracker with the simple line across the times that I was asleep from and until. Then we've got my habit tracker, which I think looks really cute. I like the fact that I used the little dots instead of crosses because it just fits with the stars and planets theme a lot better. Here was my one line a day, which is just a form of gratitude or memory journaling almost. You just write a line for each day, something that went well, something that sums up that day that you've had, something you're grateful for, anything like that. And I do enjoy including something along those lines in most of the months, which you will see. Then we've got the January weekly spreads, which change up in different styles as we go through. I love this setup, and you will see that I've used it a few more times throughout the book. And then we're on to February. So this was my minimalist line drawing outdoorsy theme, which I do really love. Life is short, the world is wide, and I want to make some memories. I love that quote. It's from Mamma Mia. Yeah, this was a really fun one to draw. I don't necessarily think it's the best looking set of spreads that I've done. I think just the colours, as much as they suit the theme, they don't necessarily suit my aesthetic as much, but it was a really fun one to draw. Then we've got the mood tracker and sleep tracker. At the start of the year, I was very much all about the trackers, and I've just changed it up as we've gone through the year, so you'll see that. The cute little doodles, very minimalist, simple lines, super easy to recreate if you're looking for a theme. Maybe for November, this kind of theme would go really well. Then we've got the weekly spreads for February. Here I was including habit trackers on the weeklies, so that was a bit of a fun change for me. Here was where I tried out time blocking, which just doesn't suit me at all. I'm a bit more of a go with the flow kind of person, so let me know if that's also you or if time blocking is way more up your street, but it's fun to experiment. Here was that setup that I really liked, the kind of very busy looking dotted around. You've got the days here alternating and then the to-do lists alternating as well, so it gives it that very full look, which I really like. Then we're on to March. Everyone loved this when I did this bumblebee style spread in a custom journal, so I definitely wanted to include it in my own. Such bright, lovely colours. It's really nice, positive set of spreads to be working with. Here I did a sleep and water tracker combined, just a simple table style one, I guess. And here I picked out this kind of greeny blue colour for the water, which I'd used in the wings, so it still ties in nicely, even though I'm using a very different colour to all of the yellows. Then we had the workout tracker. If you've not heard me speak about this one, it just did not go well. I used colours that were so closely aligned to each other, such similar shades, that I just got lost. I couldn't even tell you what I did on any of these days because I'm not 100% sure the colours were correct. So moving on from that. Gratitude log as usual. Really love this one. The bright yellows are just lovely. And then we are on to my March weekly spreads. So this was slightly different. I did this as a Dutch door again because the honeycomb did take quite a long time. So I've got that you can see across all of the spreads. So we've got week 1 there, week 2, week 3, and week 4. As you can see, I changed up each style, but it all keeps in with the top little design I've got. So it still looks good, even though the designs are different. Then we moved on to April. This is my cute little ducklings in the rain, which I really, really loved. Something a bit more illustrative than I'm used to doing. So it was really fun to kind of test my doodling skills. I love this little one up here. And I also included a content calendar on this one. Didn't use it particularly because I actually link my bullet journal up with my Notion, which is where I plan most of my content. So that's a lot easier to use because things do change and stuff. So as much as I like having it in here, it's a lot more useful for me to just have it in a digital format for a calendar. Then we've got the mood tracker, super simple with the raindrops, highly recommend. It's such an easy one to draw. Then Casual Magic, which is inspired by Unjaded Jade, but very much a gratitude, 1 line a day type of log again. Then we've got my dashboard style weekly spreads, which I started using here. So these are single pages, and I call them dashboard style because it looks very busy. It kind of makes me think of a bit scientific, mathematical statistics, because you've got graphs here, you've got little sticky note bits. It's all quite busy and information based, and I think that's just the style that I'm liking at the moment. I'm sure I'll change it up again. I use the bullet points and the to-do lists in here for kind of focused work, like priorities for the day. So I don't have a huge long to-do list, so I don't need as much space. So single pages were working well, but at this point I was still kind of experimenting. So you can see me changing it up halfway through the month back to the double page spreads. Look at the cute little duckling. Isn't he adorable? Then we are on to May, possibly one of my favourites. I kind of change my mind all the time, but I did love drawing this one. I had a lot of fun and took a lot of time over this set of spreads, drawing the little milkshakes, getting all the details as neat as I could. And I think that kind of shows that I definitely spent a lot of time on this one, so let me know what you think. Here I had a mini calendar just for marking off the days, and then a little bit of a YouTube planner, but as I said, I've decided that content planning and calendar style planning is more suitable for me to do on Notion. Then we got the mood tracker, of course, using little strawberries, so I love how that looks all coloured in. Then we had the pages read. I think I was a bit ambitious with my x-axis. As you can see, I didn't read loads, but it was still a nice tracker to include. So if you're really into books, then this might be something that you could include in your journal if you don't have one already. Then we've got the dashboard style weekly spreads coming back in for May, and I think I use these throughout now for the rest of the year. But yeah, I just love how busy it is. I love how it looks. I've got a little sleep tracker on here, as you can see, which tends to continue through the rest of the months. But the little soya strawberry milkshake doodles were my absolute favourites. Because I'm vegan, I wanted to add my own little stamp on it, so it's strawberry soya milkshake, and I think it's adorable. And some more weekly spreads there. Then we went on to June. So because this was a year since I started my Meg Notes TikTok account and started really putting work into my bullet journal content, I thought I would recreate the lemon spreads that started this whole thing off. I did upgrade it a little bit, and it was nice to see how my style has changed, how I think I've kind of improved, especially in my lettering and those kind of skills. So if you've been bullet journaling for a year or more, it might be nice to recreate a spread from a while ago and see how your style has changed. Then we've got the little calendar, just colouring it in as the days went by, and my mood tracker. So this was the segments that I was using for tracking the mood. I didn't count it correctly, so then I had to make, these were originally meant to be leaves, but I coloured them in, you know, obviously the mood tracker colours were in yellows and oranges, so I guess it looks a bit more like juice droplets, but we can ignore that. Then we're on to the dashboard style weekly spreads. Again, looks so busy and I just love how it looks. Some people prefer a more minimalist and cleaner look, but I just like this busyness. It kind of helps me feel accomplished when it's all filled in. And here I was including both a sleep tracker and a mini reading tracker, which I do actually like having a reading tracker, the miniature version, just because I don't tend to read loads of pages every single day. So a full page tracker just isn't really necessary for me. So if maybe you're trying to improve your reading, trying to read a bit more, maybe a little weekly spread tracker would work for you as well. Then I had a double page spread that I'd left blank. I think I accidentally just kind of skipped the pages, but then I did a collab with Cricut, which is a really cool cutting machine that allows you to cut out shapes like these, and it just does it all for you. It's super cool, but I thought I would use the pages I had left in this journal for that spread for the collab. So let me know what you think of this. I absolutely love it. It's so my style with the pastels and the busyness and the little doodles and stuff, so I really love this one. Then we had my mid-year review, which is definitely up there as a contender for my favourite spreads. I love the pastel colours, just this whole thing is so like my vibe. I love all the little kind of sections that you've got, the little doodles, the little sticky notes type of thing with the washi tapes. And this is just a reflection on my year, how it had been going. I did this at the end of June, so I looked at songs I'd been enjoying. I also put my stats for where I was in terms of my social media followings. So that is really cool to look at now. I did this in June, so I was at 43k at the end of June, and now I'm very close to 130k on YouTube, so that's just mad. Highly recommend doing these, because then by the end of the year you can look back and see how much progress you've made or what's changed in just 6 months. Then we're on to July, which is another month that I really loved. Again, I put quite a lot of time into this one. Even though it's a bit more minimalist, it was still quite time consuming, all the little details in the beach huts and things. And if you haven't seen my July plan with me, then you won't know this, but this was inspired by a shower mat that I have at my house. So you can really get inspiration from anywhere. Then we've got the calendar, a key dates thing, because you can't really write much into the size of these little boxes. So I just had a little bit for any key dates that I wanted to note down at the bottom of that spread. Then we've got the mood tracker, and of course I could not count to 31, so we had an extra line of beach huts, but now they're all coloured in, it doesn't stick out too much, so we just move on from there. Habit tracker here, I was trying to be really cool and do the lines as I crossed it through alternating directions, so they were going that way on one and that way on another, but it was just getting a bit confusing and I'm not going to do that again. We had a water tracker for the first time, bringing this one back in quite some time, and I do love how it looks. I especially thought the water droplets fit in with this obviously ocean inspired theme, and this blue Pentel brush pen that I used for the titles was just the perfect colour, such a pretty shade of blue. Gratitude log here. Then we've got my July weekly spreads, again dashboard style with the sleep tracker and the book tracker. And then we are on to August, so this is so bright and fun in comparison to the more minimalist style of the July ones. But this was my retro American Diner themed spread, and I loved it. Again, so many hours were poured into setting up this set of spreads. I love the cover page, the lettering is just my favourite. Somebody has asked me for a tutorial and I need to do one, but I'm just not exactly sure how I'm going to explain this type of lettering, so I need to think about that, but it is really cool lettering that I definitely recommend you trying out. Here we had a calendar, which again I was just colouring in as the days went by, a little goals bit for me to write goals for the month, and then this was a different style of tracker that I've not actually tried throughout the whole book yet, and here it is actually a sleep tracker and a mood tracker, which it says here. So the bars represent the sleep, so we've got days of the month across the bottom, and then up here is 1 to 8, so that's hours of sleep. So the bars, depending on how high they go up, show how many hours I slept on that particular day. And then this black line that you see going through that's all jaggedy, that is the mood tracker. So I've got little faces here, which should go a little bit creepy, but ignore that. So if it's right down at the bottom, that's like a sad mood. Then right at the top is the happy mood. So that's what that is doing all the way through. I just seen lots of people doing this kind of more graphic style tracker, and I really love how that looks, so that was a fun one to try out. I also love this checkerboard that I've got around the edge. Very time consuming, but looks super cool. Then we've got my weekly spreads. I love all the little doodles I've got going on here. The pancakes were really fun to doodle. And I love the little roller skate as well. And some more weekly spreads. Here I've just got the reading trackers on those with some space for notes. Then finally we are on to September. We're getting close to the end now. So this was my set of spreads inspired by World Alzheimer's Month, and my nan has Alzheimer's, so I wanted to do this to raise some awareness for Alzheimer's. So this is the forget-me-not, which is the symbol of Alzheimer's and dementia, and that is basically the theme for the whole spread. I really love how this was a little bit different to what I usually do, very simple, minimalist, a bit more delicate drawings, and I love how the little flowers look. The mood tracker is so nice and bright, so I love how that is looking once it's filled in. And I went back to my OG style habit tracker, which was something nice to bring back that I've not been using. Then we are on to my September weekly spreads. These are single pages, but I had a sleep tracker that is for both of the weeks. So it goes from Monday to Sunday and then Monday to Sunday again. And it was a bit similar to the August tracker style with that kind of line graph going across there, which I really like the look of. I used the green as that is a little highlight colour. I like to pick out a highlight colour that I've used in my spreads, sometimes for the writing or for titles, that sort of thing. And some different style weekly spreads as well. I just changed it up throughout, just depending on what I was feeling on the day that I designed them. And then we are on to my 100k little celebration spread. So this was when I reached 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you all so much, by the way. And I just had to do a nice spread in my bullet journal to celebrate. Obviously pastel colours, I love how it's all popping. I had some inspiration from Pinterest for these, just looked at different lettering and typography type of designs. Yeah, I love how it looks. And then finally we are on to October, which I have just set up ready for the new month coming up. We've got my little quote page here, and of course my October cover page. Quite minimalist, but I'm bringing back Ghost and Pumpkin, which, if you don't know, featured in my October setup last year. I created a hashtag when Pumpkin met Ghost, and last October it was all about their little love story and how they met, and on each weekly spread I was sending them on different dates, like to the park or to the pumpkin patch, so it was super cute, and check that out if you haven't. But this time I'm not doing a love story as much, I'm just using the characters because people seem to really love them. And it makes it very much my style with the pastel colours and being quite cutesy, but still in keeping with Halloween and fall kind of vibes. So that is all set to go for the month of October. I will definitely film a live filling in these spreads, and I will be posting the weekly spreads once I have set those up as well. But that is it for my bullet journal flip through. I really hope you've enjoyed it, seeing all of these spreads finally in a whole flip through. You can see the whole book, how it's looking. I haven't actually looked through it all in detail for a little while, so it's really nice to see the development and things that have changed and what I liked previously, what I'm using now, that sort of thing. So if you haven't, have a little look through your bullet journal, see how far you've come this year. And very soon it will be time to set up a brand new journal, which is everyone's favourite time of year, I'm sure, and I can't wait to share a new journal with you in 2023. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.